Hello, welcome everybody to TubbyTalks episode 6 with Joseph, me, and Jack Cruden today, who is, well, various things as usual. So I'll ask you, what do you do? Do you think that,
Well, I'd say he was a jack of most
a
trades.
jack of most
Oh.
trades, not all though, apparently. What, so, you
Only,
obviously,
only
you're
most.
yeah, you're a cyclist though, mainly, or that was your sporting thing.
Yes.
So do you want to just tell us a little bit about, your background in cycling?
Yeah. I was a track cyclist mainly. Started racing when I was 12 on road. Bit of track when it first opened. Then when I was about 16, went fully into doing track cycling, track sprint. Was in Scotland programme for 4 years. Left during lockdown, and then did another couple of years, and now I'm semi-retired, as I like to say.
What do you mean by semi-retired then? Do you still race competitively, or do you just kind of do it for fun?
A bit of both. Like, I'll still race now and then when I want to, but it's not the same like end goal for it. It's
Yeah.
like it's not that the result's the be all and end all. It's like do it, have fun, don't embarrass myself,
Yeah.
and then it's whatever.
Is it mainly track you still do, or do you also do, what would you even call the other thing? Trail? Outside? Like,
Yeah. If I was gonna race, it would probably be on the track and inside. Track and probably more endurance stuff now as opposed to sprint I was doing. But if I'm just going out and riding my bike, I'll just go out on my mountain bike because I enjoy it more than being on the road, and I don't enjoy the stress of
Yeah.
all the cars around me on the road. I just can't enjoy it.
Yeah.
There's bits of it I like, but not all of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun. Like, when I was younger, before I got a car, which was when I did most of my cycling, I did, it felt cool. It felt good
Yeah.
being out on the roads and be able to use like any roads you want. But I do get the whole stress thing when there's a pile of cars behind you and you're holding them up, or you have to give way to them, or there's people that overtake you, and it can be dead stressful.
It's it just takes one person that's driving like a bit of a dafty to then
Yeah.
just ruin like the full ride. You can be having a nice time, and then just one person passes you like a bit too close or something, and it just ruins like the hour or whatever you've been doing, and it's raging.
No, I know. I totally agree. It can ruin your site, the whole thing, just because one guy decides to be angry that day, or he's in a hurry for work or whatever. And as I was saying, like 5 minute car journey can be half an hour or even more on a bike, depending on, obviously for you it'll probably be way quicker than it was for me. But still, that's the whole point. Like the whole stress of the road, I do agree. But it is really cool being on your mountain bike when you find a cool path.
Oh yeah,
That's pretty badass.
It's the most fun.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it's by far the most fun.
I agree, and I'm not an avid cyclist by any
Yeah.
means, but
well, here's a question about roads and cycling then,
God.
from an actual cyclist. What is your thoughts on cyclists on the road? Because I think I remember you telling me years ago that it's surprising, basically. What do you think about cyclists on the road?
I think
Hates them, clearly.
I wouldn't go that far. I
you
think
do drive, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
it's similar to what I was saying about one guy being able to ruin your ride. It just takes like one person that's cycling in the road to not necessarily be the most confident or have the best idea of what they're doing to then give everybody like the bad impression of it. Like
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, most cyclists you pass are fine. Like they're aware of what's going on around them, and they'll move into the side of the road and pull over when like to let all the cars by and stuff. But it just takes one person that's not necessarily aware of what they're doing to then kind of give the bad impression to everyone, I suppose.
No, I think I do agree with that. To be fair, I mean the vast majority of cyclists are always dead respectful to me, and they always do pull out the way and give me a wave and whatnot.
Yeah.
But you do get some prats on the road
Yeah.
who do, it's kind of a cliche, but they do kind of feel entitled, and you also get the ones that, like, to be fair, this is a totally different thing, and but you get the ones that do like clubs or something like that, and they all cycle 2 or 3 abreast, and they're there forever and ever. That can hold up a lot of
Yeah.
traffic,
Yeah.
but that is fairly rare considering it's usually a club or something. Events are totally different as well because they're obviously organised
Aye,
events.
they
But
try and kind of close the roads as much as they
Yeah.
can, because like just a normal like race, you can't fully close the roads like they did when the Worlds was in Glasgow.
yeah, that's right.
Like,
That was
they can't do that just for a local race, but when they think they try and I've not raced like properly in the road, so I'm not too sure, but I think they try and kind of keep it as closed as they can.
I think they do, to be fair. And when they do, like, there's a lot of like rural roads where not many drivers go up
Aye.
anyway.
They don't try and do it and down the
Nah, not on the motorway.
down the motorway or something like that.
Mate. I mean, I was going to ask about the Worlds then, because obviously they were just there. I wasn't there watching, but I was in town at the time, and it was cool to stop in and then watching them. Are you like into watching it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that's
But
like
I
a big.
spent all day watching
What
the cycling.
Did you?
yesterday.
Did you?
What actually was it? Was it the World Outdoor Cycling Championships?
It was the first combined world championships of all like cycling disciplines across Scotland. So they normally do it like all separate times of the year, but they had road, track, mountain bike, BMX, everything all around. Like Glasgow was the main hub for it, but there's some stuff they couldn't do in Glasgow, like the mountain biking where I was at was down in Peebles,
Oh, right.
and the
okay.
downhill was up in Fort William where there's the World Cup downhill track and stuff.
That was stunning. Like, I was just in Fort William up there,
Yeah.
where I went up in the gondola.
Mm-hmm.
I obviously wasn't cycling, but part of me was like, I would love to go down that.
Why?
I mean, it looked so fun. It looked badass, and it was so beautiful. Obviously, the surroundings as well.
I don't
So-
know the balls to do that.
Nah, I mean, I don't know. Like, it seems like it would be so much fun, but
Yeah.
you do need, as you say, like balls to do it because it's so scary looking, man. It's just you. It's like literally your skill alone that's holding you from like possible death at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think a helmet's going to save you if you fall off a literal cliff.
No.
You know.
Or if
So-
you hit into a tree or something.
Yeah,
the
there's
he-
just loads
a
of
hel-
trees.
a helmet can only do so much to save you.
Do you
Yeah.
always wear a helmet when you're just out and about?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Responsible,
every single time.
responsible citizen.
Like even from when I was like wee, I remember having it drilled into me like
Wear the helmet, yeah.
wear a helmet, and I mean the amount of times my helmet saved my life's probably too many to count. The amount of because I went through a phase when I was racing road as like an under 16 where I'd crash like every week.
A lot.
Jeez.
Like I remember coming into like school like most weeks after racing and being like, yeah, I crashed again.
Did you not, I don't know if I were talking to you, did you not, like, it was like a big competition once, like I don't know if it was like a British Championship or something, and I said to you, all you need to do is just, we were like 15 maybe, and we were in school and I said, oh, just crash into them all and like deck them all and you can win, and you did crash, did you not, and cause like 20 people to also
Yeah.
crash? Or were you, did you cause it or were you involved in it? Have you ever caused a big crash in a race?
Oh, probably.
On purpose?
No, not on purpose.
Not on purpose.
Not on purpose. I've definitely probably. Don't want to dob myself in it too much, but I've probably maybe contributed.
Yeah. How
Um,
many have you been in that someone else has caused?
I don't know. Probably
A lot.
a good few.
Is
It's
it very
like,
common to happen in road
on-
races?
on road? Yeah, it's fairly common. Like
There's just so many of you.
it's
I
just
guess.
when it's not so much in Scottish races where the field's smaller, but
Right.
like in British races and stuff when it's a big bunch of people.
Mhm.
It's just a simple like touch of wheels. Like
Aye.
if somebody just gets out the saddle and the bike moves back a wee bit and somebody's not expecting it and then it's a big crash. Like it happened the other day in one of the pro races in Belgium. Somebody just got out the saddle and touched, like the guy behind them just touched the back wheel and that was it. And
I think
he crashed and was broke like his collarbone, like 7 ribs in his sternum, I think.
I was gonna just compare that to something that I can relate to. It's like watching open wheel car racing, like F1 or
Yeah.
something. It's the same kind of thing because you watch NASCAR, they're kind of designed with the bumpers and that to hit each
I had
other.
to have a wee bit of bumping and stuff.
Exactly, bump draft and whatever. But cycling in the same sense as MotoGP or F1, the wheels are exposed. As soon as you hit someone's wheel, like you're kind of done most of the time. So it's dead difficult to avoid it if you're that close in competition.
Definitely.
And I think also, just going back to the helmet, the reason I have one of the scars on my forehead is because I never wore my helmet. It was the one day when I was a kid that I didn't wear it. I was racing one of my friends in primary or whatever, and I flew over the handlebars, typical fashion, cracked my skull right off of the concrete, and it was pretty horrible at the time.
Yeah.
But I was lucky to not have a worse injury. So I think from now on, if I was ever cycling, from trauma,
It's
I
like-
would just wear it, you know.
It's just something that nobody really wants to do it, but I've been wearing a helmet every time I've rode my bike since I learned to ride a bike, so like I'm just used to it.
Yeah.
And like it's not, I suppose it's maybe for some people that don't cycle as much, it's a weird thing to do. Like the same with like the kit and everything, like wearing
The Lycra.
the Lycra. It's like it's weird for people that aren't in like the cycling community to see, but like for me, it's just what you do. It's like
not too much different from like a powerlifting singlet,
exactly. It's
or
like
a sumo wrestling moashi, or like a lot of things, even wrestling in general. Like they wear singlets and that, and people not in it will go, "It's a bit daft. Why are you wearing that?"
I was gonna say it's like the same for you too, and like whether it's like basketball or the sumo wrestling,
even
or strongman or
basketball
something.
jerseys. Yeah, I remember getting made fun of for wearing basketball jerseys, playing basketball
Mhm.
matches in school.
That is silly.
Everybody just makes fun of everything.
Yeah, if you're a kid, people do. You're younger or ignorant, but as I say, you're a kid, but then adults can be ignorant as well.
Exactly.
They just grow up and they don't know about these things. But I guess the only thing putting me off the whole cycling outfit thing would be I would have to kind of turn up to work and then muck about getting changed and
Yeah.
stuff. I suppose that's what you need to do.
I'm not.
I couldn't really be doing that. I just don't have time, you know.
I couldn't. I don't cycle to work.
Okay. I was going to say, because assuming you.
I mean, he works quite far away most of the time as well, so I'm assuming
okay.
it'd probably be too long for you to do it as well.
It's a bit of it'd be more inconvenient than anything.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose it's kind of like that. Like you did it professionally for years. You still do it
Yeah.
professionally, and you know you do it all the time. So why would you do it
Exactly.
to work if you do it every other day of the week? So
When I can do it when I come home from work, and then
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's kind of like you wouldn't like what the same kind of thing.
Well, I'll ask you a similar question. Last week we had Margarita on, who's like a rower or a kayaker, and
Yes.
I said to
Get it
her,
right.
well, yeah, no, I guess she's technically both, but I said to her, when there is a crash, she said there's like a big marathon kayak thing that happens every year in the Baltic states, and I was asking her, like, oh, if somebody crashes into somebody, is there like a big penalty or whatever? It'll be different obviously in rowing. In rowing, kayaking, that you're more likely not to be in that situation, but in cycling, if someone causes a crash, is there a penalty, or is it just everybody's like, oh well, that's your whack,
Yes,
keep
that's
going?
that's just the sport. Like,
Yeah, so nobody
it's-
gets anything at all.
I think somebody in one of the pro races last year got a penalty for it, but that was a completely different circumstance that caused the crash. Like they were going along the road and he came up on the outside on the grass and like lost it and swerved back into the bunch. So you get a penalty for that.
He was jousting.
Yeah, you get the wrong sport. I can't remember what the penalty was, but I know he got something for it.
But
Is
it
it-
usually time based or something.
Is it like a time based, or is it like a fine? Or
I don't think it was a time bait. I think it was either a fine or like missing a couple of races. I think, but
like a match ban,
Yeah.
basically.
Okay.
it was something like that. I think, but
So it wouldn't have affected that particular race for him then, if say he went on to win it or something.
no,
Although I
there
guess
probably would have been a bit of a
Controversy.
outcry if he had,
yeah.
but I don't think he even finished the race. So.
Well,
Karma.
karma. You said that you like watching it, and we were talking about the World Championships
Mhm.
being in Glasgow.
Yes.
The other one everybody will know obviously is the Tour de France. Would you say that's better than the World Championships? What's your like the best one to watch, do you think? Because I don't even really know much about the Tour de France, to be fair, apart from that it's a cycling race in France mostly. Because isn't it also it started outside of France before or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aye, they normally do the first like 3-4 stages outside of France. Like cities like bid to host like they call it the Grand Depart.
Right. Yeah.
I was in a French accent, but I'm not doing that.
Grande.
And they like cities can bid to host that, and then there's normally the first 3 stages or something they've got, and then it's 3 weeks of riding around France over mountains, flat terrain, whatever.
So would you say is that your favourite one then? Do you think, or is there better out there?
I mean, I watch all of it. I watch all 21 stages of it, but I think I prefer the races that are on just now are probably the most entertaining.
What is it that's on there?
It's-
Is it like a league?
No, it's just like a calendar, so it's just like
yeah.
the races are on at like the same time each year. So just now it's like the spring classics, so it's like in Belgium and like France and whatever, and then it's basically all the cobbled climbs of Belgium, and they're just like I think the race yesterday was like 270k over like all these massive cobbled bergs in
Yeah.
Belgium at like 20% and stuff.
That sounds
It's
horrible.
wild. It's so good.
Cobbled stuff just doesn't sound great.
It's
the
not fun to
cycling,
ride
yeah.
over.
You'd be really used to it. Your body wouldn't get used to something like that, man. I don't think I could handle that for that long. I was going to say, the one thing I always struggle with is hills when I'm cycling. I genuinely like get to a hill, even slight hill, and after I've already been cycling that long, I just feel like I can't really keep it up. Like especially on a road or something, I have to just stop and let the cars by. Usually walk up the hill. I just can't do it. Like downhill's fine, whatever. Flat roads are fine, but as soon as I get to a hill, it's really really difficult.
Yeah, nah,
Like is there technique or is it just like pure strength and endurance? that you need
It's
to
just pure strength and endurance. I mean, I'm too heavy for hills, but
I know. Well, if you're there, we've no chance, man.
yeah.
That is the one thing I struggle with, though. Like, I suppose that's where e-bikes would come in as well.
Yeah.
They would probably give you a wee bit of lift, a wee bit of help
Why?
getting up the. That's the thing, though. Like,
It's fun. It's great
Yes.
fun.
so you've experienced e-bikes.
Oh
Then.
yeah, great.
Have you got one yourself?
My dad's got one.
Your dad's got, so you can use it, obviously.
Yeah, it's so fun.
So so are these kind of things? Are they basically like electric motorbikes? Not full on, but
pedal power.
It's like basically how much you press in the pedals is how much like assistance you get back.
Right. Okay.
So if you're just like pedaling really easily, you won't really get a lot. But then if you do a couple of like hard pedal revs, then you can feel like the motor like taking it with you.
so it's like a sort of turbo boost in a
Aye.
car or something. It just
It's
like
like-
gives you that little extra.
Aye, this gives you the extra top up that means that you're able to ride for longer if you weren't fit enough to do it normally or whatever.
Or for faster,
Yeah.
like next to your friends or something.
Yeah.
So can you adjust that? How much boost it gives you?
Aye,
I'm saying boost in
There's
terms of
different
car.
like
but-
modes and
How
stuff.
much nitros it gives you?
Yeah, so
A
you
lot.
kind
It's
adjust
like Fast and
that.
Furious. You twist the
Yeah.
twist the canister next to you.
You can just upgrade it. Chip the ECU.
Yeah.
How many bikes do you own? Is it just one or is it
No,
4 high?
quite a lot.
Is it like, are they all different
Yeah.
or are they just like?
Yeah, that's one of the problems with cycling, I suppose, that each different discipline's got like a completely different bike.
Yeah.
Like the track bike that I raced on in the velodrome for most of my cycling career was like completely different to like my road bike and the mountain bike and stuff, and you couldn't like use a different bike for a different discipline because it just wouldn't.
Well, could you
Work.
even use a velodrome bike outside at all?
You can,
But it would just
it
be,
would be very challenging because there's no brakes.
yeah. I suppose so. How is it you stop then if there's no brakes? I remember doing it.
It's kind of like just kind of slow down.
Well, you went to the velodrome when that school, yeah. So we went once and we used the bikes, and I can't remember anything about it other than being scared to go up the steep part.
Yeah, so it's a single speed bike, so there's one gear on it, but it's fixed wheel as well. So if you stop pedaling, you basically can't stop pedaling, otherwise you're going to go over the bars.
Yeah,
So to slow down, you back pedal.
yeah,
So you're pedaling like normally, and then to slow down, you just put pressure backwards, and it brings your speed down, and then you can stop. But that's the thing that people should probably struggle with most when riding the tracks: the bike, and then obviously the fear of the banking.
Well, definitely the fear, yeah. It's, you get really, really high. It is quite high, to be fair. I mean, what is the height of it? Like,
Wouldn't know off the
good,
top of my
I
head.
think it's
It's
like a couple
four-
meters or something. Or
It's 40 something degrees, the bankings in Glasgow anyway.
that really is insane.
It's pretty steep.
it's probably not as high as it seems when you're in it.
No.
But it is high because I remember it took me almost the whole time I was there to actually start doing it. And once you're up there, it's actually really fun.
Oh yeah.
And you're going faster, and it is good, but it is still really scary to go up
It's-
there and to stay up there as well. You just come
It's
back
so
down.
it's so like counterintuitive to actually ride it because you need to go faster in the corners to stay up.
Yeah,
yeah.
Because if you go, there's like a graph. There'll be a point when you can't go any slower
right.
and you'll just fall. But it's weird for me because when you watch stuff, you're like, that's. Then you look down, like when you're in the stands, and you can look down the bank, and you're like, oh, that is
Yeah.
steep.
Yeah.
But then when you're riding it, you don't really notice it. But I suppose it helps because I've been doing it for so long.
yeah. Well, I mean, is it mainly used for overtaking then, basically, or is it like if you said it's counterintuitive to try and stay in it? What's the kind of main purpose for doing it?
It just helps with speed. It depends on the race, like how much you use it.
Yeah,
Like some of the races, you'll rarely be at the top of the track because it's obviously the lines is you've got the black, red, blue, and then like the fence, like right up to the top of the fence. But the black's obviously the shortest way around, so you're there most of the time, and then depending on your race, it depends on how often you're going. like for the stuff that I was doing when I was racing track, like you weren't really above the black for most of it.
Yeah. I take
It
it.
takes a lot of effort as well to get up there. Like if for at least for me, if you're obviously pedaling extremely fast, it's so much energy it takes out of you if you're inexperienced.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm assuming anyway that it'll take more energy for you to go faster the whole time than it will be to go slower for some parts or to go lower.
Mm-hmm.
How much, like, how many laps is an average race, like sprint race? Because you said that was like your main
Yeah.
thing. What actually is it? And is it just you do a lap and you do a few and the quickest is the winner, or?
Yeah, so there's like 2 or 3 main like track sprint disciplines. You've got match sprint, so that's you do a qualifying time trial. It's 3. You start in the back straight, and you do it's 3.5 laps, and the last 200 meters of your last lap is what's timed. And that seeds you for then going into the races, which are all 2-up races
Right.
against somebody that's all 3 laps. So the most you'll do in a match sprint's 3 laps, and then the other one's keying, which is 6
Right.
laps. But you're basically always in the black for that.
For that, yeah.
You get held up at the start, the gun goes, and you're falling behind the motorbike, and then for 3 laps, and then it's 3 laps racing by yourself. So you're rarely above the black. Well, you'll be maybe above the blue for overtaking people and stuff to get round them, depending on how many riders are next to each other. But
And by black and blue, which is what your opponents look like after you've beat them, but black and blue, I think it's just like lines
yeah,
up the way. So like the blue's probably is like quite high up. Then I'm assuming the black's like in
so
the middle, maybe.
the black line's down the bottom of the track.
Right.
The red's just above it, so that's called like the sprinter's box. So one of the main rules is when you start your sprint, you're not allowed to come out between the black and red lines. You need to stay in the lines, otherwise you can get relegated. And then the blue's about like probably in the middle as you look at it.
Right. What's then? You mentioned Kieran. That's how you
Yes.
say it. Because I thought it was Kieran because it's feeling of it. So Kieran is obviously that's the thing you won the British champs in, isn't it?
Yes,
When
it is
you
indeed.
were the youth British champs. Whatever.
Junior.
Do you want to talk about that? Was it in England that was held, or
Yes, it was down in Newport in Wales.
oh Wales? All right.
Yep, because there's 5 velodromes in the country, and Wales, Newport's one of them.
Right. Okay.
Um,
I didn't know that. Yeah.
yep.
Is
So
there
there's
one in every country in the UK? Like, is there even
there's
one in
one-
Northern Ireland?
no, there's not one in Northern Ireland. There's Newport, Glasgow, Manchester, Derby, and London.
Oh, right, okay. Glasgow is Sir Chris Hoy.
Yes.
Like,
Across the road from Celtic Park.
Yeah. The Glasgow Rocks used to play there,
Yeah.
and now they've been demoted to East Kilbride.
Shipped out to East Kilbride.
Now, don't get me wrong though, I've been there a few times to the play sports called. It's actually really good. It's a really nice court, but
I've been to the driving range a couple of times.
Yeah, yeah.
When I was going up from uni, but
it
seems
is
quite a
shame,
nice
though.
stadium to be
It's
fair.
pretty good, yeah. But you know, the Chris Hoy Velodrome, the Emirates that we used to be in, that was their big, huge track. People use it all the time for big comps. Glasgow Rocks, they were there.
Commonwealth Games had a lot of stuff, or
Yeah,
Commonwealth Games it was used,
Commonwealth
yeah.
Games and stuff,
And then
yeah.
they've been demoted to East Kilbride, but it's their own stadium to be
Yeah,
fair.
it seems
so I
like
guess, yeah.
from what the pictures I've seen of it, it seems like it's kind of
it's
not-
got
this
a
is-
much better like void.
maybe not necessarily purpose built, but it seems like that's kind of like the aim was for it to be their stadium.
yeah.
They've changed their name to the Caledonia Gladiators as well, which I don't really like.
I'm
but
not a fan of that.
I like Caledonia. I don't mind that. Like not being Glasgow's fine, but Gladiators I don't think is as good as
It's
Rocks.
just always going to be the Rocks, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
Every
just-
time I say it, I still just say the Glasgow Rocks, and then I'll say like, and they're also the Gladiators now.
Yeah.
Like if you say Twitter,
Yeah.
like you,
Caledonia, Gladiator, like, come on.
like when you say Twitter all the time rather than X, and nobody's going to be
nobody's ever
saying
gonna
X
co-
anytime
nobody's
soon.
ever
Yeah.
gonna
Sorry,
call it
Elon,
X.
but no one's having it.
But yeah, anyway, so you won the Keaton British Championships. What was that? Was that Keaton's the 6 laps you were saying?
Yes,
Yeah,
so
so
it's
it's like timed.
Aye, no, so it's 6 laps. There's about 6 people in the race. So you get held up in the home straight, and like you draw playing cards. So the commissar comes round with like his clipboard with some playing cards on it, and you pick what you've picked. They're all face down, obviously, so you can't see. You pick whatever card you're gonna get, and that's where you start on the line.
Right.
So I think it's 1 to 6.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So
And
there's that not like a little bit? There's a little bit of luck then involved in
Yeah.
winning those races if it's like
there's a
that.
wee bit, but it's also like after the 3 laps, you can then do what you want with it,
Yeah.
and everybody that's racing's gonna be able to know how to ride from each position.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Like
So certain technique.
the
involved.
certain. It's not even technique. It's like just basics of riding in each position.
Right. Okay.
So like if you're position 1 after the bike comes off out the way, and it's just the 6 of you that are cycling.
Mhm.
Like, the main things for them is looking behind them to see where people are, and then you can judge the speed off that. I always quite like riding 1. Riding 1's fun if you're the fastest in the heat.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If you're the fastest in the heat and can know where other people are, then you can just go as hard as you need to. So you can sometimes end up having an easier ride through if you're able to control it well.
What position did you start then in this
I
one?
was 2.
Right. Not bad.
I was 2, so it was probably one of the best positions I could have been in. Like I wasn't the fastest. I think there was probably 6 of us in the race, and I was probably 5th or 6th fastest. Like there was no way that I was gonna win it on speed.
Yeah.
But the way the race like played out worked in my favour massively, because I knew the guy that was in 1 he would like always want it quite. His characteristics as a rider even is quite like punchy. So he's got like lots of explosive power.
Yeah.
So he would always want it quite slow, and I knew that, and I was fine with it. I just needed to wait till almost kind of preempt when he was gonna attack, basically.
Yeah.
And it kind of worked out well. The video doesn't makes it look like I had no chance of winning. But
Is there a video online or something?
nah, I've got it in my phone.
It's a person.
Yeah,
You have to send it.
I can say I can send you. See me winning by like millimeters.
Well, that's
That's cool.
that's
Full finish is
interesting.
gotta be
Yeah.
fun.
It was stressful.
Yeah. Probably.
So, like, we lunged for the line, and there's a bit of me that was like, just happy that I'd get at least second. I was like, class. That's more than I expected to get. I'd be happy with, like, I'd have been ecstatic with a podium, and then to get second, I was like, brilliant. And then I was like, there's a small bit of me like, oh, here, I might have won that.
Yeah.
And like, you kind of know when it's that close, you're able to know if you have. And I was like, I think I might have got that, you know. And then the photo finish came up, and the announcer announced it as the other guy.
Oh, really?
Wow.
See, they announced it as him first,
Okay.
and then one of the
Steve Harvey did.
It was my mistake.
and then one of the commissars that was there, it's like the referee. He's Scottish,
Oh, right. Okay.
and like I know him from racing up here.
So was the announcer not Scottish?
Well, I don't know. I think he just kind of.
He was the other guy's dad.
Yeah.
Well, I think he's probably going to the Olympics this year. So
Oh, really?
yeah. So they announced it as him, and then Scottish Com was like, I'm not sure, and made them go and double check the photo. And like these, you could see them like had it in like the big screen. It's like a big massive TV in the one end of the track, and they can see them like zooming in, and I'm sitting in track centre looking at it like, I think I got that. And as they get closer and closer in, and then they announce it's me, and it was great.
So what about the other guy? Was he? I know you probably didn't care, but was he like all away celebrating and stuff? And then he got the call, "Oh, by the way, we need to like recount that." Or
I think they announced it when we were just rolling around the bottom after we'd finished.
so he was still kind of. In
So he
motion.
might not have really noticed.
I think he'd heard that they'd announced it as him, and then I think they quickly kind of realised that it wasn't
Yeah.
him and it was me.
Well, like you said, that when it's that close, you said you tend to know. So he probably knew as
Yeah.
well. He was probably like,
Probably wouldn't
No,
have wanted to
wasn't.
admit it, but
yeah.
Aye, of course, yeah.
Nah.
You'd never admit it.
no.
The
I
same
wouldn't
time,
have admitted it if it was me that was in
Yeah.
the losing side of it.
You're not gonna. Well, it's not even that you wouldn't admit it, but you wouldn't be like, "Oh, I want you to make sure I won
Yeah.
that championship."
I
you know?
wouldn't be openly being like, I think you should have a look at that.
VAR, please come on.
That's actually really interesting.
Self-harm
Yeah,
VAR.
that's like I didn't realise that it was that close and that they announced it wrong and everything
Yeah.
at the time. I just remember you winning it at the time.
Yeah.
Obviously, I assumed you were like ecstatic and that, but then you said it was stressful, and I was like, interesting. I get why it might be, but then you've obviously explained why. So
Yeah, it was a bit. I mean, it makes for a good story that the fact that they like announced it to the wrong person, and then it went to the photo finish and everything. It makes for it been quite cool.
It
but
definitely does.
It was
like photo finishing anything with the whole story,
Yeah.
the whole recheck and all.
it was unreal. It was by far the highlight of my career.
Yeah, well,
By far.
British champion. That's
Yeah.
freaking
It's-
awesome.
I got the jersey above my bed still. It's
Of
great.
course, of course you would. To be fair, absolutely.
Great.
When actually was that then?
20, 2018, I think.
2018.
Year before we left school. Aye. Because
Wow.
we started, before we started 6 year,
Yeah, 2018 then, eh?
2018. Yeah, seems
I
a
mean,
while ago.
No, it does. I mean, it kind of is now.
It's-
You know, that's like I don't know. It's like 6 years ago or something like
Jeez.
that. It really is weird, isn't it, to think that?
And it would have been 6 years ago.
Aye, it would have been August, so it would have been
About
Pretty-
August
pretty close
2018
to
then.
the next few months. I was gonna ask what your favourite velodrome was then. I guess they're all called velodrome. I'm
Yeah.
just so used to calling just Glasgow velodrome. So your favourite one? Are you biased in saying Glasgow, or do you genuinely think Glasgow is the best, or maybe Newport, considering you won there?
No, not Newport.
Nah.
Not
I thought maybe the memories would be
It's-
that bad.
I mean, it redeems it a wee bit,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it is like
Is it kind of a smaller one, or
the facility. It's just kind of like Glasgow. All the rest of them have kind of stuff around them.
I get you.
Like the Emirates
a whole
has got
sports
like
centre.
the kind of sports centre. Derby's the same.
Mhm.
Manchester feels a bit more special because of like what's around it.
Like, is it in the city and things like that, or
Like the Etihad, Man City's grounds across the road from it. It's
Yeah.
where British Cycling are based. So it just kind of feels a bit
Right.
more proper. But Newport just kind of feels like a shed that they built a velodrome in.
is it just out in the sort of country or
It's-
something then, like in the hills
It's
of the
kind of
sheep?
on
or-
the outskirts of Newport,
Right. Okay.
but it's like they've got some astro football pitches out the back. But this
Right.
Glasgow's by far the best.
There we go. There's your answer. It was
It's
kind
the
of
night-
obvious to be
It's
fair.
the, it's the nicest to ride. It's the kind of nicest facility and stuff around it. Yeah.
It's gotta be one of the newer ones as well, no? Or yeah.
Is Glasgow the only one named after someone? Because it's yeah. Are the rest of them got something?
No, I think it is actually.
Yeah.
Is he not the most successful Brit in cycling?
This is maybe
Am I right in
Bradley.
saying that?
Bradley.
No,
whatever
it
his
might be
name is.
Jason Kenny now.
Who's the Bradley guy I'm thinking?
Bradley
Of?
Wiggins.
Yeah. Is he not? He was. It was he not for a while?
I think he might have been, but I don't think he is anymore. I think Jason Kenny overtook both of them when he won in Tokyo.
Oh, there you go.
There we go then.
That's how he went to Edinburgh Uni.
knowledge. Did he?
Yeah, because there's a thing at
That your
Edinburgh
claim
Uni
to
called
fame?
Pleasance, and there's like it's like a gym sports hall thing, like a massive
Oh,
sort of
right, aye.
sports centre.
Spa with that name?
No, well there is a spa in it. There's a spa in it.
There
There's
we go.
basketball courts, blah 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 blah. And outside, sometimes when I was at uni, I would go there for part of my course, and we would do things and whatever.
Aye.
And the little like lounge bit that's got hundreds of posters of like all the famous sports people that have been there or graduated, you know. And it's got one of him. I think he graduated in like sports science in Edinburgh
classic.
Uni. Yeah,
Classic
and
for
it's-
everybody that does some sport, like
Yeah.
races or competes in some sport, does sports science.
There was like hundreds of people from like a Kimball player was there or whatever, and Kimball's like a big massive sort of beach ball thing, and they have to like try and throw it to another goal. It's a Korean thing or a Taiwan thing or something.
That sounds
Because it's called Kimball.
That sounds
No.
mental.
But I actually know there's a Hong Kong or Taiwan. He lived in Taiwan. I think he's from Hong Kong though. Who is in Scotland now? Who is like he's involved in basketball over here, and his main job when he was in Taiwan was the promoter of Kimball, and that's still his job over here.
That's pretty cool.
But he's trying to bring it over here. So you never know. Maybe you'll be playing it one day as well. I think
Maybe.
England.
Maybe I can take
I think
up a
England
new
have
sport.
got one. Yeah, England have got like a Kimball thing, but Scotland don't, and that's why he's kind of here trying to do that.
Sack off cycling.
Yeah,
Sack off the golf. I'm trying to get
the
better at that.
velodrome can be used as a
Start
Kimball
that.
court. Yeah,
So you play golf there? Do you play golf as well?
I've started.
You started.
I'm not very good.
It's another like huge. It's a big Scottish sport. I
Yeah.
think Scotland like obviously invented the sport, didn't they? Back in
yeah.
Yeah.
it was what century? But where is it as well? It's like the heart of golf in
St
Scotland.
Andrews.
St Andrews,
St
right?
Andrews.
Aye, because that Donald Trump always goes up there, and I think.
He's got his own.
Oh, he has his own one.
Aye,
Yeah,
he's-
that's right. Actually,
He bought Turnberry.
That's right, actually. Yeah.
Trump something.
Trump Turnbury.
Trump Turner. It's always
Very
tea.
imaginative.
Yeah, absolutely. So there must have been like some proper world athletes up in Scotland, like every year for the.
There's like, it surprises. It's quite surprising how many like elite athletes Scotland kind of produces.
You consider how small it is, to be fair. Yeah.
Aye.
Like, we the big in this room, like.
Not to blow our own trumpets or anything.
No, we're all for blowing your own trumpet in this house.
Trombone.
Trombone, fair play, banging
Good
your own
one.
drum.
Yeah, there you go. You got any instrument puns for yourself?
Oh God, no.
You never played it? Because obviously trombone and drums.
I was musically inept.
No, not the xylophone or the
No.
glockenspiel.
I could even do that in school. I was awful
Even
at it.
with the letters on it.
I couldn't even do it.
Even with the letter.
I think I probably could have if I'd cared more, but I just didn't.
Yeah. Well, there's people
I
getting...
couldn't care in the slight. I couldn't care less about that. So
Yeah.
I just
It is a
playing the
bit funny.
keyboard and go DJ.
Yeah, you play the yeah. There's like people getting A's in advanced higher xylophones in our school, and they have the letters on them, and I'm assuming that's fine.
That
You know,
feels
it's
like
probably
cheating.
allowed, but it just doesn't. Because when I was doing it, I got a 30 out of 30 from my advanced higher xylophone, right, and it had the letters on it.
Not blowing his own trumpet.
No, but then
Big
I
man.
tried to play the xylophone outside of school without letters, and I just couldn't do it at all because I'd only learned with the letters. I could probably do it now because I played it a little bit before it, but I was like, this is literally, I can't play the xylophone, and I've got a qualification that says I am good at playing the xylophone.
That feels a bit like cheating.
Yeah, it is. It'd be like giving you an e-bike for a PE exam and
I
going,
mean,
right, go around the
yeah.
velodrome with an
I was lucky
e-bike.
I was able to do cycling from my PE exams.
You weren't allowed to do
I
it.
was.
Oh yeah, I was going
I
to say
was.
because people are allowed to do
You're
it.
allowed to use an e-bike.
No, I wasn't allowed to use an e-bike, but
What did you
I
say?
d-
Sorry.
I was
You're-
allowed to do cycling as like one
Oh,
of my
that's
sport
okay.
performance.
Okay. That is good though.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
That is good because they don't let everybody do everything. Like you can't do powerlifting, for example.
I mean,
Is that? Sorry.
yeah. But I think I got away with I got away with doing a lot with cycling in school.
I'll do
Yeah.
it because you were so
Which is pretty good.
successful and, yeah, I suppose they would try and help.
And the
you,
teachers, I think the teachers were quite. I don't know what the right word is, but they were quite interested because it wasn't football.
yeah,
Because so like basically every sport, probably other than me and you in school, was football.
pretty much.
Like
Yeah.
doing something that wasn't that was like, ooh,
We
What's
actually
this?
we spoke to Mr. Bowl and
Yeah.
David the first episode of Tubby Talks a lot about that, where we were talking about football a bit, and he was talking about basketball specifically because that's what we were talking
Mhm.
about at the time, and he was like, it was just so interesting that yous were doing that basically, and it was quite popular because it was literally most schools it's all football, but most schools also have some sort of bigger group of people that do rugby or basketball or something. But St Ninians was literally just.
I mean, I think
football.
we both know the reason why.
Yeah, obviously, there's obvious reasons. We spoke to David about that as well, which is fair enough. But you know, it is good that they let you do that
Yeah.
still.
It was
Um,
yeah, it was really good. It was really helpful. I probably wouldn't have been able to do some of the stuff I managed to do without the support of the school. Like when I was going away in, would that be 5th and 6th year probably, going away to the Netherlands to race and stuff, like I wouldn't have been able to do that if the school weren't so supportive
yeah,
of me
yeah.
being able to do it.
So, have you travelled, pardon me, have you travelled the world as such quite often when doing cycling? Like, have you travelled to Europe a lot, competing in races, or?
Not too much. I've raced in the Netherlands twice with Scotland when I was in the Scotland programme as a junior, and that's pretty much it. Most of it was kind of national racing, like around up and down the
Up
country.
and down the UK and stuff.
Yeah, so we went. It was normally early January that we normally went across to Apeldoorn in the Netherlands to race.
Right.
It was some experience. It was great.
Sounds absolutely awesome.
It was so
well,
fun.
I would love to visit the Netherlands, to be fair. It's one of the places I've always been really interested in visiting. I'm not a big... When I go on holidays, I tend not to pick European places.
Mm.
It's just... I don't want to go to the
You
hot
don't-
spots,
you
But
want to go somewhere that's a bit more exciting.
exactly. But I feel like the Netherlands specifically seems like a fun, funky, colourful place.
Yeah.
So I would love
Like-
to go there.
The one thing I wish we'd been able to do when we went was see a bit more of it.
yeah.
Well, when we went to Korea, although we were there for so long with Shirem, most of it was practicing, fighting, practicing,
Yeah.
training, or going to a specific place they took you. I'm assuming maybe it was the same for you. I'm not.
I mean,
We didn't
did
even
take
get
us,
to do
but yeah.
that.
So you didn't? Did you ever get? Because they took us to like restaurants and that at night time. Did they do that with you or no?
Nah. So we went We went out. The first year I went was a wee bit different because we drove out,
Right.
which was long.
Wow, you drove from Scotland?
Yeah,
How
so
long
I-
does that take?
Wow.
like 2 days.
Oof.
So I drove. So I drove.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I drove. I think Dad drove me down to Manchester. We went from Manchester to Cali in one day, and then Cali to Appledorn the next
California.
Jeez, that's a
Yeah.
long
Jesus.
day. Yeah, we drove across the sea. British Cycling got some high tech
Yeah,
vans.
that's good. Some hoverboats.
Yeah, and then on the way back we drove from Appledorn to Ghent, and then Ghent to Glasgow.
Ghent's in Belgium, isn't it? Yeah.
That was a long day.
But it's still good.
roads.
Yeah, it's still good you got to go though.
Oh yeah,
Do
I can't complain about
Yeah.
being able to go. Like, it was so much fun.
What about their facilities in terms of was it a velodrome or a road
It was
race?
a velodrome.
Do they still call it velodrome in other countries?
Yeah, that's like the main.
Is it like it's
term
not
for-
an English word, is it?
I think it's French.
Yeah, probably French.
Because I think quite a lot of
Usually
stuff. Quite a lot of stuff in track cycling's French.
Aye.
Like
You can see why.
like the Côte d'Azur, like the bit before they actually got onto the track is French.
Stunning place as
Yeah.
well.
It's lovely.
Aye,
The Glasgow
aye.
one's great.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. Honestly, yeah.
Well, you said that you are the jack of most trades. Talking about Jack.
Not me.
Yeah.
I'm the jacket.
So what what do you, we'll see if we can get a Jack in the Box joke in later as well if you want, just to put that in your head. But
I've
anyway,
already thought of a few old school.
well, yeah, you said it was a shed in Newport. You sure it wasn't more of a box, and you were the Jack in the Box? No,
There we go.
what I was going to say though is, what was I going to say? Yeah, I was going to say that. What's your kind of? I think you've tried most of the disciplines in cycling, or at least a few. And what would you say is the one you're not the best at compared to the one you are the best at? I'm assuming you're probably best at keyring because that's the one you won the champs in. But what would you say?
I don't know.
Because you love mountain biking.
I do love mountain
Yeah.
biking. I
But
don't
were
think,
you like?
I don't
amazing
think
at it?
I've never raced mountain biking. I think my fitness would be fine for like the climbs and stuff, but I don't think I'm technically good enough for the descents.
Right.
Like I think I'd probably get by, but I don't think I'd be good enough to be able
You'd
to
survive the
I'd
descent,
survive.
yeah.
Yeah, I'd
Good.
survive.
Which is more than most.
I'd
probably.
survive. I'd be fine in the climbs. I think, or not fine, but I'd be able to go over the climbs, and then I think the descents would probably be the bit that I'd struggle with. Like I can do it, and I can do it decently for like the average person, I suppose. But I don't like
The
compared.
average cyclist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aye. The average competitor, I suppose.
Aye, like the average cyclist, I could probably be probably like the bottom half of all right.
That's
But
more than I can
yeah.
say.
I do love mountain biking though.
I personally love mountain biking. I'm not done, anywhere near that level. But even just going out on a mountain bike on any trail of any kind, it's so fun. It's just something different, man.
Like we were talking
Um,
about the worlds earlier. I was volunteering down in Peebles for the mountain biking, and it was so much fun. I was just like a wee kid. Like it was
Yeah.
great. I was like just walking about, and you can see all the jumps and stuff that they built for it, and like seeing all the people that like you watch in TV racing and stuff, and you're like they're just like there. That was so cool.
Kind of starstruck almost.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
What about BMX, which is a more of a sort of stunts, X
Well, there's-
Games kind of excitement
Yeah,
stuff,
so- Like the BMX is kind of under the UCI, which is like the governing body's umbrellas more. There's like BMX racing, which is just equally as mental.
Is that the one that's kind of like the lots of hills like
Aye.
that? Aye, that's
So they start on like a ramp that's like ridiculously high, and like like
It's basically yeah, like
shoot down the ramp, and then it's like the track, and it's like jumps and berms and stuff, and you want to see crashes and that. It's ridiculous.
the speeds they go at as well. It looks like they're just going as fast as motorbikes.
Oh yeah,
They do like what do you call them? Like the dirt biking and things like that. It looks just kind of same kind of thing as that.
It's mental.
It looks. Have you ever done it before?
No.
Never at all.
No.
Have you ever even owned like a BMX?
Nah.
And
I think
played?
maybe when I was younger, but
All right, okay.
it's not
okay.
something that
Never
not something I
you
plan on doing.
Nah, you
anytime
don't
soon, I
consider
think.
trying it. Giving it
I'd
a
like
go?
to give it a go, but I think that would be the end of it. Like I'd do
nothing
it.
you'd take it up.
No,
but,
I don't think so.
I think
Not
I
in
would
my
like to.
Semi-retirement life.
Of course, yeah, of course. I mean, you've achieved everything already.
I wouldn't go that far, but
I would like to try something like skating, skateboarding, things like that.
That'd
Because
be
it's
quite
kind of
fun.
similar discipline and just the whole jumps and tricks and everything. That excites me.
I feel like I'd definitely make a fool of myself doing that.
Skateboarding, I've tried to do it before, like
Have you?
just not like tricks, just use a skateboard, and
It's
I can't.
impossible.
Yeah, it's
I don't
really,
know
really
how-
difficult.
Right, this is going to be dead stupid, but what I don't get is, see when they're in the air and like they're not holding onto the board to keep it there, how does it
How
just
does
stay
it
in the
stay
feet?
on them? Yeah,
It just blows my mind.
I
Like I
don't
watch
know.
videos and I'm like, but you're not holding that.
yeah.
How does it not just like as soon as you take your weight off, does it not just fall away?
And
it's glue.
I don't really know. I don't really know how it works, but like I don't know if people of our weight could really do it well. But I'm not sure what the
You need a reinforced steel.
yeah, like I don't know what the
The
specifications of the specs of a skateboard are, but I'm assuming it's probably not really for really heavy people because you don't really see.
You can
very
you can
heavy
build
people doing it.
There's different, like, obviously categories and different sizes and all that, but they're all just wooden boards.
I've seen dogs use skateboards that like not tricks, but they actually can ride it, and I can't. Like I
I
don't
mean,
get it.
I reckon if I had like my knee and a hand on it, I could do it.
Maybe like that.
Like a dog,
yeah.
because
Like,
dogs,
yeah.
dogs have obviously got 2 paws on it.
Yeah.
If I had 2 points of contact, that'd be
Well,
okay.
if there's like if you can get a big enough skateboard, maybe yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like surfing and that as well. When you're like doing that part, it's easy enough, but as soon as you're like stand up, it's
Stand
like,
up.
oh,
When you're
I'm
swimming,
back.
when you're swimming on the surfboard, it's really easy.
When you're
Yeah,
lying
like,
down
literally.
doing front crawl. It's
Here's a brilliant segue into this.
that's
Tony,
another 2 wheels.
yeah, segues a 2-wheel exactly.
oh,
Tony Hawk's Underground is a really good game, and that's about skateboarding. And in that game, there is The Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash, which is a good song, a good country song. And you'll know what I'm saying now.
Yeah.
this is just because you're listening.
But on the way over here, Jack was listening to country music, and he said that's like his main thing. So
Yeah.
like, is
Oh,
that
really?
that's
Yeah.
what's that like? What's your favorite country album or singer?
Country? It's like,
Yeah.
that's
What's your
favourite
favorite
country.
Your favorite country and your least favorite in order, please.
Do you want me to rank every
Yeah.
country in the world?
The country music.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I like admitting that I like country music. I feel like I get
There's
judged
a lot of
it's
people that
big
like
in
it.
the country. Like a lot of my friends
Eh,
like
in the country.
in the country.
It's big in the country, not so much out with the country. But it's you're not alone. Like a lot of people love country. Loads of people love it. I feel like they might be a bit quieter,
Yeah.
but it's not like you're alone. Like it's a
No,
big
it's great.
genre.
I don't know why I like it so much. It's great. Though.
I like some country music.
I think we all like some country music. You can't really hate country. I'm not. the
Well, a
biggest
lot of
fan.
people do.
I'm not the biggest fan, but I don't think you can hate all country though. I think you say you hate country, you'll hear Dolly Parton on the radio, and you'll be like, "Oh, I actually quite like this song," So I don't think that people hate country as a whole. I think there's always going to be one song
Yeah.
in every genre that someone's going to like. But you don't got a favourite artist? Shall
Oh.
we say?
Is it David Craig?
I mean,
That's a
That's an
That's-
inside joke, yeah.
I do regularly think of that.
He
it
was
was
a guy,
unbelievable.
a guy in our
It
school,
was
a guy in our school that sang
genuinely
it, and he was
amazing.
amazing at it. Yeah, like he
The
sang
Gambler.
Kenny Rogers all the time, and it
It
was
was-
literally like Kenny Rogers was there. It
It
was
was-
amazing.
Oh, it was unreal.
Not Craig
Yeah.
David, not to be confused with Craig David.
Not to be-
He's
yeah,
not.
no.
He's not a country singer or
7 Days.
not a great singer anyway. 7 Days.
Yeah.
I did think it was ironic with that name as well, though. I mean, you can't have a better name than David Craig, man.
Especially for being the opposite kind of singer
Yeah,
as
yeah.
Craig David, and borderline more talented.
Oh, absolutely more. Yeah. Unbelievable. It's glorious.
Well, I don't really know many country artists, to be fair, when you say it, but then you obviously say things like Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers, and it's people you don't really think about because you think of banjo playing straw tune,
yeah.
all that rubbish, which is
I
why
mean, I
the
don't mind some of
stereotype-
that, but like my favourite's probably Zach Bryan.
Zach Bryan.
Yeah, Zach Bryan's got some good songs.
Not to be confused with Brian Zach, who also went to our school. Anyway, no. I don't know who Zach Bryan is, though.
Neither do I. But you'd have to into country, I guess.
Has he got like a big famous songs, or is he like a niche
you'd-
country person?
I think you'd know his probably his most famous songs if you heard them.
Right.
But he was, I think he got famous for like his songs and music and whatever when he was in the Navy.
Alright.
As he was in the Navy and get famous like big in music while in the Navy.
Is that not the Village People that sang that?
In the Navy.
Another cracking
yeah.
joke.
We'll play that.
That's my favourite country.
We'll play half a second sample of it
Don't get
if we can
copyright.
get away with it. Yeah.
There was
Don't
Tupac reference that I had earlier when you were saying that what was his contributions as a rider, and I was like, and then you were like talking about Cali, and I was thinking about Biggie.
I was trying to figure out a way to fit in a Monterey Jack joke.
That would have been
Yeah.
impressive.
Well, I was thinking I'm going the country route here. That's southern. Monterey Jack, I think, is southern, but
Yeah.
I wasn't sure, so I was like, I'm not risking it.
Monterey, is it not like a Texan thing or
I
something?
don't know. Have you ever been to Monterey Jacks
No.
in Glasgow?
No, I can't say I have.
It's
I thought we were
good.
gonna say. I thought we were gonna say in Texas.
Oh, in
No.
Texas. It's a type of cheese, but it's also. I think it's a type of cheese, but it's
I was
also.
gonna. I was thinking that's
a
cheese.
restaurant,
I was-
yeah.
I'm not gonna say it in case it's not.
It's a restaurant in Glasgow.
And Falkirk.
And Falkirk.
Yeah.
That was Falkirk first, I'm sure. I went there in Falkirk, it was nice, and then they were like, we were opening a restaurant at the fort or whatever, and I was like...
Yeah, they had these adverts of like American, like hillbilly, stereotypical, like really like pantomime American accents advertising Monterey Jacks, and they were saying like we're in Falkirk and all that, and it's like in the fort, and it's just not what you expect
just not-
from like Uncle
yeah.
Sam accents.
Just visually, just throws you off.
Although apparently Uncle Sam, the guy in the posters, was actually a Scottish guy. Yeah,
Really?
he was a guy called Sam Wilson who was from Scotland, and like he went over. He like delivered stuff to America,
Mm-hmm.
and his boxes used to have the word US on it because it was like going to America,
Mhm.
US. But his name was Sam, and so they started calling him Uncle Sam. And then for some reason, they went, you know who we want to be the forefront of our war?
Delivery
A
driver.
Scottish delivery guy, a guy that delivers
He was
burgers or
ahead,
whatever.
he was ahead of his
yeah.
time. He was an old times Amazon guy.
Yeah, and then all of that leads to Falkirk having an American restaurant with
Yeah,
Monterey
that was
Jack
a-
cheese,
Yeah, that's.
and it is good that you should
Was
go.
it the iceberg effect? It's
Yeah,
like
the butterfly,
something up
yeah.
there just as a ripple effect all the way down.
They're great. Like everyone else, the prices have slightly gone up. You know, the one pet peeve of mine is the places where I think they do it, where they give you chips with your burger as part of the deal, which is good. But then I find myself wanting one of the loaded fries, and I say, "Can you just give me them at an additional cost?" And they're like, "No, you'd have to have the chips with it, and then order them separately." And I'm like, can you not just like charge me £2 or something to get the stuff on the chips that are already there? I'm like, I don't need the chips and more chips with stuff. So it just really bugs me because it's like
This
they've got a
feels like
button
a-
and
Feels like a very specific
maybe
Joe
it's
problem.
just like when I'm there, it's like I just hate. It's like the whole thing of the button's not there. I can't do it. You know, if you're at any kind of cafe, local cafe, and you want cheese on whatever, they're like, yeah, whatever. I'll just give you.
Clearly-
At McDonald's or whatever, it's like we don't have a button for that. Sorry, sir.
It's clearly specific though. You're like, I hate it when like this common occurrence
This
happens when you
specific
want
restaurant
loaded
in-
fries in the Falkirk.
Falkirk.
Yeah.
It doesn't do this specific thing.
It's always Falkirk, but it's always Falkirk.
We had to humble them a bit because we were giving them a little bit too much praise for no reason really. So
To be fair, their burgers are lovely.
it is
Their
good,
burgers are great.
and their honey chicken tenders.
They said it
Yeah.
quite nice.
Let's go. One.
Let's go
I think it's still open.
By the time we get to Falkirk, probably not.
Yeah. Well, there's one in the fort now, so
Ah,
we're all
true.
good.
There is. I was going to just ask about training for cycling. Obviously,
Mhm.
like we go to the gym
Yeah.
for strongman and stuff. That's all all that I certainly really know. Is there a specific thing you would have to do? Is there a lot of leg days involved with cycling? Or?
Yeah.
Right,
I
okay.
love Olympic lifting.
Is that specifically for cycling?
It's
Or
it
is it
was-
just because you like doing it?
is more specifically for track sprint. So track sprint's quite a
Right.
lot of like explosive. You need explosive power. So you do quite a lot of like plyometrics, like box jumps and stuff, and then
Okay.
quite a few cleans. I was learning snatch towards the end when I stopped doing it competitively. But like a normal week when I was properly training sprint would be like 3 gym sessions a week,
Right.
2 track sessions, like a road ride or something that I'd never do. I'd do a mountain bike ride instead, and then a day off. That would be like my
Okay.
normal week. That's what I was doing when we were in school and stuff. So
That's honestly quite a lot. It's quite a lot to fit into 1 week, man.
saying it now, I'm like, how did I fit that in?
I don't have any idea, especially if you're like in school and everything during
Yeah.
the day, and then you've got to do that in the evening times. I
I
assume.
mean, yeah,
Damn,
it was
man, I
quite a
mean,
lot.
It's kind of like the similar like when we were doing basketball. Like we played it in National League and that. and I was still doing judo at the time, and now that I think about it as well, I was like, I was doing basketball maybe 3 times a week training, and then judo twice a week, to go to the gym and playing games of basketball and all that, and I was like, I can barely go to the gym 4 times a week for strongman now, which is what you wouldn't really want to do much more than that in strongman because you need a lot of recovery time. But still, I'm like, if I was still doing a sport like that, having to do it 5-6 times a week, I would have literally no chance. Like, there'd just be no way I could fit it in.
No, I'd have no chance doing it like now. I mean, I was lucky doing it in school. That was only really like when I was in 6th year at school.
Yeah.
I started doing it then, and then like through uni, obviously it was a lot easier. But in school, I was lucky because I was able to get away. Like I had like 2 half days to go to track,
Right.
and then like I got away early and I got another day for gym and stuff. So I was quite lucky that I was able to fit it around. But in 6th year, it was kind of I was doing a lot less subjects anyway. So
Yeah,
But-
that was a good thing about 6th year, to be fair.
Yeah, you could just you're just floating around, really.
skive.
Some people.
But yeah, the training was a lot. The training was a lot.
I think if you're at that level as well, though, the training's always going to be way tougher than
Yeah.
your average kind of
I
cyclist.
mean, you're becoming an adult and you're kind of tipping between becoming professional or not and all that. And, you know, if you are professional, obviously you get sponsors and things so you can afford to do it all day.
Like, if I'm probably being honest, I never really enjoyed training.
Yeah.
Right.
I still probably don't enjoy training.
A lot of athletics kind of sports like swimmers and all that, and a lot of these people with similar say they don't enjoy training, like runners and swimmers and things.
Like, for me, I was always a racer. Like, I preferred racing. Like, I'd go faster when I was racing. Like, even like subconsciously, I'd be able to step up and go faster than I would. Like, the amount of times in training I'd be doing like horrific splits for like my timed efforts and stuff, and then I'd come to race day and like take like half a second off it easily because it was a race, and like I never really enjoyed training. And especially with like track sprint, you'd be lucky if you raced like 6 times a year.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
I see you spend most of the time training, and then like when I stopped training like last year when I was finishing uni, like you're just like, I just can't be bothered. You just want to race, especially for me, like growing up racing a lot, like through youth and everything, and then to just have the switch when you race hardly ever. It was quite weird, and then just to be training all the time, it was not for me.
I feel like... So, if you're doing training, like, you would never race as part of your training, you'd never have that. Like, obviously, we do strongman, for example, or basketball. As part of training, though, you'd always
Yeah.
have, like, a game or, you know, a competition or something like that. So, I feel like that's why training for, especially, like, football or basketball, it always kind of feels like you're doing a sport anyway.
Mhm.
You're in a contest. For track or whatever, you would, I'm assuming, or you would never actually race anyone until race day. Unless it's for fun, but then...
You would sometimes like have like training, but even if it was like a race in training, it's to me that was always still just training.
Right, yeah.
Like it was never a proper race.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like it was always just, oh, we're just racing in training.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not like the same as like, I suppose it's going to be different if you're in basketball or whatever and you're playing with a team.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like that's a
Like
very
if there's
single-
5 of you in the court for basketball, then it's kind of going to be different than just me racing one-on-one with somebody else.
Well, I suppose that is obviously specific for basketball or kind of team-based sports as well, which is a very good point. To be fair, I mean, it was really fun. I mean, I kind of wish I still did basketball.
Yeah.
It's not too late, but like back then, you know, we were really high level.
Stand at the basket and we can have it.
Could yeah. Well, we'll see. I don't think I'm tall enough for that, but I could put on some stilts. Yeah, that for team-based sport, like team-based sports are great. To be fair, they're always fun. The only other thing, like with strongman, for example, it's also individual most of the time. There's some very rare team events and things. You can do like double log lift or double deadlift, something like that.
I did a tandem log championship with my friend James, and we went and there's like a really long log with 4 handles, and you clean it at the same time and press it, and we got third, I'm sure, like the third highest lift of the day. But yeah, so there's things like that, and then there is the UK versus the USA Strongman Championships that happen in Liverpool most of the time.
Yeah, that's kind of a new
Quite new, yeah. Giants Live run it.
one, I think.
Yeah, but yeah, so there are
That's
team
individual-
events.
individual sports, but like you're in a part of a team. Maybe you run up and kind of relay style.
Or sometimes
they'll go
there's
after
like, you know, the tug of war happened at it, and then there'll be like, you know, tandem log, tandem deadlift. There might even be things like a tandem truck pull or something along those lines. But it is,
They're more rare.
Yeah, they're
Obviously,
rarer.
The big like World's Strongest Man, it's going to be individual mostly. But
Because that's what you see in like TV and stuff.
Yeah.
You see, like, it's just individuals.
or it might be like, if there is team events, like you're saying, it could just be like a relay. So it is a team event, but you're still individually performing, if you know what I mean.
yeah, like you lift the farmer, like deadlift farmer style thing. You lift that up, take it back, your teammate goes, that kind of thing, and whoever gets the quickest time between you. I think Izzy Tate, who's coming on soon.
Yep.
She's the the Scottish deadlift record.
No, I think they have her and Laura Baxter have the world tandem deadlift record for women.
That's pretty bad.
I'm sure.
to be fair, yeah, I think so.
We saw it in real life because it
Yeah,
happened
what
at
weight?
Scotland's. I don't actually remember.
We'll get back to you on that.
Yeah,
550 kilos.
it was heavy. I can't remember the exact weight though.
I honestly can't remember either. I don't know, but what that was. So that was part of Scotland's Strongest Man overall, but they did like a little mini event as the guys were preparing. Yeah. So that's quite a lot. That there's like team stuff during that.
That's pretty
Um,
cool. It's one of the sports that you don't really think of that's got a team element to it.
It isn't, but I was going to make the point of, I don't know how it was for you in cycling, but for strongman and things like that, everyone kind of feels like a team anyway. Like if you've got your friends with you, or even your enemies as such, your competitors, you're all kind of like a team in a sense, because you're always cheering each other on, even if you're competing against each other. But even in training, it feels like almost a team sport, as you were saying. But in cycling, running, things like that, I'm not sure. I've never done it, but I'm assuming it's more, you're all kind of doing your own thing anyway.
So like individual, you know, you're training in strongman. It always feels like a team sport anyway because you're always kind of with other people training. I think it'd be impossible almost for me. It'd be impossible if I did it alone constantly. Like, it really does. The people really do sort of make a big difference. So you know, with cycling,
it's like most of the time. Well, the last couple of years when I wasn't in the squad, like it was mostly gym by myself, which was okay because I'd do it at uni. I'd finish a lecture at uni, and then I'd go and do gym, which was fine. And it's going to be you weren't even necessarily talking to people, but there's other people around, which made a difference. And then track, most of the time there tends to be other people there, like from the club there tends to be other people there,
Right.
and you try and do efforts together and stuff to kind of, because doing it alone's just not fun.
I can imagine that would get quite. Yeah, I don't know the word, but it would be pretty.
lonely.
Yeah, I was going to say depressing.
Because it is lonely if you do the gym yourself a lot sometimes. Like if
Yeah.
I do 2 or 3 sessions, just me, and it's like having to set everything up yourself and put it away and all that, it really is demotivating.
Oh yeah, massively. It just helps having people around, even if they're not like with you to say, but they're just around and there's people about you. It makes such a
An
difference.
atmosphere,
Yeah.
really. Just like people talking. It's like having the TV on in the house
Aye,
instead of
there's
sitting in silence.
there's
like-
just something on in the background.
Yeah, or the radio in your car or
Mhm.
whatever. Yeah, I do get that. You just want the ambience of it,
Yeah.
and you know if someone's there if something happens, or you know you can say hello, maybe even wave to someone. Like it makes sense.
Well, yeah. I think we're happy to wrap up. If you are,
Yeah.
and you are.
Thank you for having me.
No, yeah, thanks for coming on and talk about cycling because I don't really know jack about cycling, so
These are flying today.
no,
mate.
Jay, I didn't really know much though, like about it apart from wheels and pedaling, you know. So it's good
Yeah,
to
it's-
have people
it's
on
quite-
to talk about it properly. Like I had no idea about any of the structure of the races that you were talking about.
Yeah,
and
it's
stuff.
it's like quite an in-depth sport.
Yeah,
like,
most sports tend
for
to be
being-
when you go into it.
Aye, like there's so many
Yeah.
sports under the cycling umbrella that's like it's like it's like a family tree. There's
Yeah.
like cycling and there's like all the different branches come off it, and you've got like road and you've got all the different types of road races you could do, and then there's track and there's all the different types of track races you could do,
Yeah.
and then it's the same for like mountain biking and
Big
BMX
BMX
and
and
trails
yeah.
and everything. It's just mental. It's so much more
Yeah.
in depth than people think.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
A lot of people might just assume velodrome, you know, or
Aye,
Tour
so-
de France, but then actually there's so much more. Even in velodrome, as you
Mhm.
say, there's loads of different ones. So yeah, it's been really interesting.
Yeah,
hearing about
it's
it,
been good to
honestly.
talk to you.
think it's time for us to grab our jackets and head out.
Right, on that
Zinger.
note, bye.